Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. In telephone calls with a number of his counterparts in friendly countries, His Excellency the Foreign Minister discusses the joint efforts to promote dialogue, contain escalation in the region, and address all issues and crises through peaceful means. The United States announces the names of the members of the Interim Peace Council for the Gaza Strip as the Palestinian Technocratic Committee begins its work from Cairo in preparation for moving to the Gaza Strip. And the Sultanate of Oman's GDP rose by 2% to record more than 9 billion and 900 million Omani rials by the end of the third quarter of last year. Welcome to our news center. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Excellency Said Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, the Foreign Minister, and His Excellency Jean-Noel Barrot, Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of the French Republic, discussed the latest developments in the region during a telephone call. They also exchanged views on regional relations, developments in the Iranian nuclear file, and efforts to support de-escalation and call for the parties to return to the negotiating table to reach consensual and equitable solutions to the outstanding issues, ensuring the legitimate rights of all parties and preserving the region's security and stability. His Excellency the Foreign Minister also discussed with His Excellency Dr. Johan Wadiful, Federal Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Federal Republic of Germany, some current developments and their repercussions at the regional and international levels. Both sides emphasized the importance of adhering to the principles of diplomacy and peaceful solutions in order to maintain stability and peace, and to consolidate the approach of dialogue and understanding in dealing with various challenges. The two ministers agreed to continue consultations and coordination within the framework of regional and international efforts to achieve common goals in this regard. His Excellency the Foreign Minister and His Excellency Hakan Fidan, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey, also discussed in a telephone call the course of bilateral relations between the Sultanate of Oman and the Republic of Turkey and the positive developments they are witnessing in various fields. They emphasized the importance of strengthening the strategic partnership between the two countries and deepening the cooperation of political consultations regarding various regional and international issues and challenges. The two ministers exchanged views on the latest developments in the region, stressing the importance of supporting efforts to consolidate the foundations of regional security and stability, promoting de-escalation, and adopting dialogue and diplomacy as a fundamental strategic option. The U.S. administration announced the members of the Peace Council that, under President Donald Trump's plan, will oversee the interim administration of the Gaza Strip. The White House appointed Nikolai Mladinov as the High Representative for the Middle East peace process for Gaza. The council also includes U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and Jared Kushner. President Trump will chair the council according to the plan. Meanwhile, Ali Shath, head of the Palestinian National Committee for the Administration of the Gaza Strip, stated that the committee officially began its work in Cairo in preparation for moving to the Strip to begin implementing an urgent relief plan for the Palestinian people. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, announced that an Israeli army tank fired on one of its positions near Kafr Shuba in southern Lebanon. In a statement, UNIFIL said that the gunfire struck a guard post and penetrated living quarters within the compound. UNIFIL called on Israel to ensure the safety of its peacekeepers and to cease its attacks against them, emphasizing that this aggression undermines UN Security Council Resolution 1701 and threatens the stability that UNIFIL and other parties are working to establish in Lebanon. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, said that Ukraine and Russia agreed to a local ceasefire at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant to allow for repairs to the last remaining backup power line at the site. The agency reported that Ukrainian technicians are expected to begin repairs in the coming days on the power line, which was damaged and cut off as a result of military activity on January the 2nd. The IAEA added that it has deployed a team to oversee the repair work. The plant, which uses nuclear power generators, sustained some damage earlier this month due to Russian shelling that targeted areas near it. More than 100 people died in 3 countries in southern Africa due to torrential rains and flooding. Authorities in South Africa said they rescued thousands of people stranded on rooftops of buildings where buildings were flooded, and hundreds of tourists and workers were rescued from one of the world's largest game reserves. They noted that the death toll was recorded across South Africa, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, and warned of more rain which could lead to further devastating flooding. Oman's economy records positive indicators that reflect the improved performance and stable economic growth, supported by improved performance in productive sectors and the growing contribution of non-oil activities to the national economy.
The Sultanate of Oman continues to strengthen its economic growth trajectory and achieve financial stability, supported by the diversification of its economic activities and the improved performance of its productive sectors. Oman's GDP witnessed remarkable growth by the end of the third quarter of last year, reaching 2% year-on-year. At constant prices, GDP exceeded 9.911 billion Oman riyals, reflecting an improvement in the pace of economic activity during that period. Data from the National Center for Statistics and Information indicated that this growth is primarily attributed to a 2% increase in the value added of non-oil activities, reaching over 7.3 billion Oman riyals. This underscores the continued contribution of non-oil sectors to supporting economic growth and enhancing economic diversification. At the level of economic activities, the construction sector achieved growth exceeding 1%, reaching 1.03 billion Oman riyals. Wholesale and retail trade activities also recorded growth at the same rate, contributing approximately 830.5 million Oman riyals. On the other hand, public administration and defense activities increased by 1.5%, reaching a value of 932.5 million Oman riyals. As for the oil activities, they recorded growth of 2%, reaching 3.06 billion Oman riyals. The value of crude oil production rose by 2%, reaching 2.5 billion Oman riyals, while natural gas activity grew by more than 1%, reaching 512.8 million Oman riyals by the end of the third quarter of last year. This positive performance reflects improved production levels across various economic sectors, along with the increasing role of non-oil activities in supporting the national economy and achieving sustainable growth.
Total refinery output in the Sultanate of Oman rose by 11.4% by the end of November 2025, reaching approximately 76.992 billion barrels compared to the same period in 2024. Gasoline 91 octane production increased by 17.5% to 15.640 billion barrels, while gasoline 95 octane production rose by 21.1% to 13.182 billion barrels. Diesel production also increased by 11.7% to 31.639 billion barrels. In the petrochemical sector, data showed a significant increase in polypropylene production, rising by 81.6% to reach 327,000 tons. Total credit granted by the conventional commercial banks in the Sultanate of Oman increased by 8.5% at the end of November 2025. Credit granted to the private sector rose by 5.8% to reach 21.9 billion Omani Rials. Total investments by commercial banks in securities also increased by 7.4% to reach about 6.4 billion Omani Rials. Meanwhile, total deposits at commercial banks rose by 6.3% to reach 26.4 billion Omani Rials. The Muscat Stock Exchange's main index rose by 97 points last week, benefiting from the investor optimism following the release of preliminary financial results for publicly traded companies. The preliminary financial results showed strong performance for many publicly traded companies listed on the Muscat Stock Exchange. OQ Exploration and Production recorded the highest profits at over 293 million Omani Rials, while Bank Muscat came in second with net profits exceeding 255 million Omani Rials. The prices of 57 securities also rose last week, positively impacting the stock market indices and boosting the market capitalization to 33.25 billion Omani Rials. Still to come in our news bulletin. Al-Buraymi Winter Festival kicks off, offering vibrant atmosphere. Welcome back to our news centre. With an area of 50,000 square metres, the Wilaya of Nakhal has celebrated the inauguration of Nakhal Public Park, a new recreational destination offering vast green spaces for families and visitors. Nakhal Public Park is the largest of its kind in South Al Batina Governorate. It features a dedicated children's playground, retail outlets, water fountains and an open-air theatre, providing a variety of leisure and entertainment options. Visitors to the park expressed their happiness and enthusiasm for this project, describing it as a valuable addition that enhances the quality of life and recreational facilities within the wilaya. Al-Buraymi Winter Festival kicked off in Al-Buraymi Oasis, attracting a large number of visitors on its very first day. The festival offers a vibrant atmosphere featuring cultural activities, entertainment programs and family-friendly events, drawing residents and visitors alike. The strong turnout reflects the festival's popularity and its role in promoting tourism and community engagement in the governorate. The festival will continue over the coming 2 weeks with a variety of activities catering to all age groups. At the Masira Winter Festival 2026, the Heritage Village highlights the rich traditional lifestyle of the island, reflecting Bedouin, maritime or agricultural ways of life. The village serves as a key platform for artisans to display and sell locally made products. The Heritage Village features a section dedicated to traditional kuhl craft, a rare heritage practice preserved by Bedouin women on the island. Another section showcases a maritime environment, highlighting the strong connection between the people of Masira and the sea, their navigational skills and their role as an important commercial link in the past and present. The village also presents a variety of traditional handicrafts, including weaving, spinning and palm leaf products, which continue to be being passed down through generations to this day. This is the Sultanate of Oman television, and before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. In telephone calls with a number of his counterparts in friendly countries, His Excellency the Foreign Minister discusses the joint efforts to promote dialogue, contain escalation in the region, and address all issues and crises through peaceful means. The United States announces the names of the members of the Interim Peace Council for the Gaza Strip as the Palestinian Technocratic Committee begins its work from Cairo in preparation for moving to the Strip. And finally, Sultanate of Oman's GDP rose by 2% to record more than 9 billion and 900 million Omani riyals by the end of the third quarter of last year. With that, we do come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it is good night and stay safe.